Hi everyone, this is 5 more problems for trig identities. I actually already did this problem on a different video. I think it's on part 4. And what I did on that video is I manipulated the right side instead of the left side. So in this video, what I'm going to go ahead and do is manipulate the left side and show you that you could do either side. I want to kind of know what this over here looks like. This is really 1 over cosine minus sine over cosine squared. And I didn't put the thetas in because I'm running out of room, but that's what that looks like. So you kind of want to know what that looks like. Now, so the way to manipulate this side, if we're going to do the left side, is multiply the numerator and the denominator by 1 minus sine. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to multiply this by 1 minus sine of theta. I actually like the other way I did it better, but just want to show you both ways. So what's going to happen is the numerator is going to be 1 minus sine squared theta. No, not the square. It's just going to be 1 minus sine, and then the whole thing is going to be squared. And you should be used to seeing this. This is 1 minus sine squared theta. So when I bring it down here, I'm going to get, I'm trying to skip steps. Can't skip steps. Okay, 1 minus sine of theta squared over cosine squared of theta. And then I'm going to go ahead and just put, since we have this square outside, I'm just going to write this as 1 minus sine of theta oh goodness, all right, over cosine squared. Okay, so this denominator goes under both pieces. See, you already see where we already kind of have it. So I'm just going to write this as 1 over cosine minus sine, let me put the thetas, sine of theta over cosine of theta squared. So we have it matched up. Or you could go ahead and rewrite this as secant theta minus tan theta squared, and it should equal that piece. So that's just a different way to do it. I believe part 4 is where I worked on the right side instead. Okay, we're going to go a little faster now and start with this one here. We have secant theta minus tan theta squared plus 1 over cosecant theta times secant theta minus tan theta. And this is supposed to equal, wow, 2 tan of theta. And you already should know what that looks like. That's sine over cosine. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is go ahead and use my factoring rules and factor that out. That's secant squared minus 2 secant theta tan plus tan squared theta plus 1 all over, and I'll go ahead and just know I'm going to keep this cosecant theta times secant theta minus tan of theta. Now you should know that tan squared of theta plus 1 is secant squared. So I'm going to go ahead and write it here. This part right here equals secant squared of theta. Now what I can do is add these. I have 1 here and 1 here. So that's 2 of them. So I have 2 secant squared theta minus 2 secant theta times tan of theta. And I'll go ahead and copy down my denominator. Cosecant theta times secant theta minus tan of theta. Now, as you can guess, I'm going to factor out my secants here. And just factor them out. I'm going to do it on the next page. So I'm going to get, I can also factor out the 2. So I'm going to factor out the 2 secant here. So, because it's common to both parts. So I have 2 secant theta times secant theta minus tan theta. Remember on this last set here, you have to constantly keep your eye on what we want. Alright? And the reason I did this is because I can see that I'm going to really want to cancel that out. So you cancel this out. And I'm going to go ahead, I need 2 tan. So I'm going to go ahead and rewrite these two. This is 2 over cosine theta. And this is actually 1 over cosecant theta equals sine of theta. So this part is just going to be times sine of theta. So you get 2 sine of theta over cosine of theta. And that's all. Okay, the next one is secant squared of theta minus tan squared of theta plus tan of theta over secant of theta. And we want this to equal cosine of theta plus sine of theta. You can't get any simpler than that. So basically, the first thing I'm going to do is notice that this is this is 1. So I'm going to go ahead and change that to 1. And I'm also going to go ahead and write this as sine theta over cosine of theta. And the denominator I'm going to go ahead and write as 1 over cosine of theta. Now I'm going to go ahead and do my common denominator. So we have cosine of theta. And when you cross, you get cosine of theta plus sine of theta over 1 over cosine of theta. And just from, your algebra skills, we're left with this. So these two match up, and that's all you have to do. You used your Pythagorean identity and common denominator. Okay, the next one is sine theta plus cosine of theta over cosine of theta minus sine of theta minus cosine of theta over sine. And this is supposed to equal secant theta times, let me write this better, equals secant of theta times cosecant of theta. Which, if you know what that means, this is 1 over cosine theta times sine of theta. Just so we know what that looks like. Alright? So I'm going to definitely work on this side, the left side of the equation. And I'm going to do my common denominator, which is cosine of theta and sine of theta. And I'm going to just cross here. So we get sine of theta times sine of theta plus cosine of theta minus, and then I'm going to go ahead and be careful here because you got to distribute the negative, cosine of theta times sine of theta minus cosine of theta. Alright, you keep your denominator here. Apparently, do you see the denominator here is this? So basically, this should equal, this numerator should equal 1. So I'm going to go ahead and distribute. I get sine squared theta plus sine theta cosine theta. And then I'm going to go ahead and distribute here and do this -1 thing here. So we're going to get negative cosine theta sine theta plus cosine squared theta all over my common denominator. Now these two cancel because these are the same, and we already know that through our Pythagorean identity, sine squared plus cosine squared is 1. So this equals 1. I can just put 1 there. So this is 1 over cosine theta times sine theta. And you could just, as long as you rewrote this, you could just leave it like this. Say this, this left side equals this right side. Okay, we're going to do one more here. And this is sine, it's very similar, sine of theta plus cosine theta over sine of theta minus cosine of theta minus sine of theta over cosine of theta equals secant theta. It's almost identical, cosecant of theta. So basically it's almost the same problem. So it's what we had last time. So I'm going to do the same thing. It's cosine theta times sine theta plus cosine theta minus sine theta times cosine theta minus sine theta all over my common denominator. Alright, distribute and you get cosine theta sine theta plus cosine squared of theta minus sine theta cosine theta plus sine squared theta all over my common denominator. Now these two cancel, and sine squared plus cosine squared is 1. So we have 1 over sine theta times cosine of theta, which is the same as 1 over sine theta times 1 over cosine theta, which is the same as cosecant theta times secant theta, which is what we have. It doesn't matter that these are not in the same order. Okay, so that's all, and thank you, and have a nice day. Bye-bye.